On the outside, I looked like I had the perfect title, the perfect status, the perfect job, the money and all the benefits, beautiful car. I had it all. On the outside, oh wow, perfect. But on the inside, I really felt miserable. Wait a minute, this is my life and I want to do what I want and I want to live a life without regrets. That's how I started looking into how can I make money online? How can I travel with just my laptop, travel more and not be stuck to an office and a job? I learned to really observe my fears and think, what if it goes right? What if I do succeed? What if I can make money? So that was really key.
Welcome to the Nomad Solopreneur Show. I'm your host, Gabe Marushka, joining you on your solopreneurship journey as you build, learn, and grow. Today, I got the chance to sit down with Rachel Smets, a two-time TEDx speaker, coach, YouTuber, author, and digital nomad. Rachel helps ambitious professionals change from stuck in an unfulfilling career to a meaningful freedom lifestyle by turning passion into income. And in this actionable episode, we dive deep into exactly that. Rachel will share 7 steps she took in order to navigate her way out that you can apply as well if you got stuck in your career or life. Let's jump straight into it. Hi Rachel, welcome to the Nomad Solopreneur Show.
Thanks, Gabe. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Happy to have you. Can you tell us about your personal transformation from being trapped in a 9-to-5 grind and breaking free and embracing your own freedom lifestyle?
Yeah, I'll try to summarize it. I was indeed trapped in the corporate world, and I say trapped, but on the outside, I looked like I had the perfect title, the perfect status, the perfect job, the money and all the benefits, beautiful car. I had it all. Like on the outside, oh wow, perfect. But on the inside, I really felt miserable. I was stressed out. I had chronic stomach aches and I literally burned out. So I just couldn't anymore. The stress was too much. And I never really liked working for a boss. But that's just me. I'm an entrepreneur in my vein and bloods, I always say. And so I burned out. And then that was the best thing that ever happened to me because it really made me stop and ask myself, what does Rachel really want? What is it? What is it that I really want? And the one thing that kept popping up is my biggest value. It's freedom. I just wanted freedom from a boss, freedom to do what I want, freedom to work when I want, and not having to ask for permission to buy a piece of paper or to have a day off or when you're sick, you have to explain that you're sick. I never really liked it. So on one hand, it was a massive burnout and I felt really bad. I just couldn't focus and I was burnout is really not a fun thing to go through. But at the same time, it really made me look at my purpose, my value, my passion, and really reevaluate myself because I never did that. You got to have a job. You got to have a good salary. You got to work hard. You got to make money, right? And so I was just climbing that corporate ladder. And now I was like, wait a minute, this is my life and I want to do what I want and I want to live a life without regrets. And I want to look back upon my life thinking, instead of thinking I should have, I would have, what if? I was like, I want to be able to grow old and say, I tried living the life that I want. And so that's the path. That was the turning point, the pivot point. And I'll talk more about the things that I've done then. But that's how I started looking into how can I make money online? How can I travel with just my laptop and travel more and not be stuck to an office and a job? So that was my transformation moment.
And can I ask you what job did you had and why it was so stressful in order to make you arrive at that tipping point of being burned out?
It's not so much the job because I was a project manager. I was also a business development manager. So I was working a corporate job. I was, climbing a ladder. I had a very nice managerial job and I had some freedom. I could drive to some places, go to other locations. But the fact that I was working for a boss, giving my time to a boss, having to ask permission for everything, like having to rely on office schedules and be there and be able to pick up the phone. I mean, all of that. So I think it's a great job, but it didn't fit me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as someone that escaped 9-to-5 13 years ago, I can definitely relate. And the same thing happened to me. I felt, especially on the health side, I have a small accident and I couldn't take a day off to recover. I have a football accident because the politics. And I was like, what I'm doing here? And that's the thing. But in the same time, at least from my experience, right after I jumped out of the 9-to-5, I found another boss, more strict, more demanding. myself. How you deal with that when you arrive to be your own boss?
I like it. I mean, I'm a very disciplined person, so I'll always, of course, I wake up much later than I would have. I mean, I had to wake up at 7 a.m. when I had to go to corporate, and now I go to bed later, so I wake up at 8:30. But I still do every day. And I know some people are like, oh, you can stay in your pajamas all day. I never do that. I just wake up, get dressed, not nice dress. I mean, I'm just wearing shorts and t-shirts, but I have that discipline to work. But the big difference is that I work when I want. So I'm traveling at the moment. I'm in the Netherlands next week. I'll be back in Portugal. I love Portugal. The weather is beautiful. There's beaches. So I'll work a little bit, a few hours in the morning, and then I'll just go out. I'll go out, enjoy the day, go to the beach, go for a walk, go and work out. And then in the evening, I'll work again for a few hours, or I schedule my calls in the evening or in the morning so that I'm free. So that to me is the freedom. It's the freedom to really work when I want. But being my own boss, I'm still working. It's not okay. I'm just going to sit back and do nothing. At the same time, sometimes I'm working the weekends as well. And that's the danger of being your own boss. Because I had a burnout before, I think I became much more mindful, Gabe, to know, wait a minute, now I'm really feeling tired. When I lack inspiration, when I just feel like I learned mindfulness, which is not a great thing. I learned after my burnout was like, okay, be mindful, be present, feel into my body. I never even knew what intuition is because I never felt within myself. What am I feeling? Am I tired? I was just going like a robot. Okay, do your work hours, work hard, get the money in. That was me. So I really learned to wait a minute. Now I'm tired. I need to rest. Now I'll take a break. Now I'll take a day off. But I can take a day off because I'm my own boss.
Yeah, that's the power of going on your own path, because you actually have that freedom to make your own schedule to, I don't know, if for whatever reason you don't feel like working that day, you take a day off and you work, as you mentioned, the weekend. Or personally, how I do, as also traveling a lot, if the weather doesn't allow me to go outside on a weekend, maybe it's a rainy day or something, I just work and I take a day off on a Monday.
And also sometimes I feel I have a burst of inspiration on a Sunday and then I'll just be typing up some content.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. And
Yeah.
apart from that, one that you mentioned, the ability to travel, the ability to actually work from wherever you want. And of course, there are some limits to that. But what was your first destination after you escaped the 9 to 5 in order to experience traveling and working at the same time?
My story is a little bit different, and here's why. I always talk about never take the leap of faith and transition and do it gradually. And that's exactly what I've done because I never quit cold turkey. Hey, today I'm working my 9 to 5 and tomorrow I quit and I'm traveling full time. No way. I didn't know in the beginning that I would enjoy traveling full time. Like I did enjoy traveling. And for me, my key help was actually house sitting, house and pet sitting. I love house and pet sitting. So I started doing that while I was in my 9 to 5. And so I started a weekend here and there, and then a week, and then 2 weeks and 3 weeks. And then I was able to gradually decrease my hours in my 9 to 5. And I actually worked out that I could work a little bit more remotely in my job. So all of that was a transition. And then I could travel more. So it came to a point where I was going away for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then a month and then 2 months. And that's where I was like, oh, well, I'm actually gone more than I am home. In the meantime, I also quit my job, but I still had the home base and I was like working remotely on my own. So everything was a transition phase and everything happened gradually because I wasn't even sure then, will I be able to travel full time? So I was still like going away 2 months, 3 months and then coming back. But then after a while, I was like almost gone most of the year and I was paying a home and all the electricity and utilities. And I thought, this is getting expensive. So a few years ago, I sold everything, my belongings, my home, everything. And that was like for me, the ultimate freedom. Oh my gosh. And then I started traveling full time. And so that's when I started, okay, now I can go 2, 3 months there, 2, 3 months there, and always go to different locations.
That's definitely the smart ways to do, because sometimes people just jump headfirst into something that they never tried before, or it's something too complicated or too overwhelming. And after 1 or 2 months, they quit. And thinking of steps, I want to ask you, for those that are being and feeling trapped in their careers and unsure how to navigate their way out, can you walk us through a step-by-step framework or process to guide these individuals from feeling stuck to actually achieving the freedom that you already did?
Yeah, totally. Talking about this gradual process as well. I mean, I'm sure we'll mention it later, but I have a YouTube channel where every week I go into tips and tricks of making money online. And also I explain there the stages that I've been through and doing it gradually. Because again, I'll repeat, really my best advice is don't take the leap, really transition gradually. Because at the end of the day, we need money coming in. And especially me, I'm supporting myself. I don't have a partner. I don't have, some people say, oh, it's easier when you're single, but I have to have the finance. I have to have the money myself. I can't rely on anybody else. So, so that's why. So the steps that I would definitely go through are 7 steps. Okay. You can do it in a random order a little bit. Some of them you can do randomly, but the first thing for sure is decide. And making a decision is very powerful and very important. And it sounds, well, yeah, duh, I want to quit my 9 to 5. That's my decision. It's not. For years, I was like, oh, I want to quit. I want to quit. I want to quit. But I didn't make that decision. And it's when you decide that you'll figure out, okay, now I made a decision. Now I'll start actually putting action into it and making it happen. And the best example I can give is you decide to go on a holiday. You don't know yet exactly where, which hotel, which flight, but you decide, I'm going to go on a holiday. And then you'll figure out, okay, now let's look at some flights. Now let's look at some hotels, right? And that's where it is, like the decision. Because a lot of people are like, I want to quit my 9 to 5, but the ones that decide will make it happen. Deciding is very powerful. The second thing is the fear of the unknown, the fear of failing, the fear of others. What will other people say? For me, I was 40 years old thinking, oh, what are my parents going to say? Right? But also, what is going to happen? The fear of the unknown. What am I going to do? How am I going to make money? All of these fears come up, which really can delay the process. It can keep you stuck for a long time. Like I was stuck in my job thinking, oh, what if all these worst case scenarios, until I really learned, wait a minute. First of all, that drive that I still had, I don't want to grow old with regrets. I want to grow old looking back upon my life thinking, yes, I've done it. I tried it, right? That was my biggest drive. But also I learned to really deal with those fears. And the way I dealt with it was, first of all, instead of these worst case scenarios, like, what if this goes wrong? And what if I don't make money? And what if this? I learned to really observe my fears and think, what if it goes right? What if I do succeed? What if I can make money? Like it's these stories in our thoughts. And I really studied the mind a lot. I really studied like we create the worry in our minds. We create those worst case scenarios in our minds. So the energy that we use to create those worst case scenarios, we can also use that same energy to create the best case scenarios. And so I started like, well, what if I do succeed? And what if I can make money? And what if it is easy? And what if I don't have to work hard for money, but it's easy and I only work a few hours? And I started really picturing that idea and putting those thoughts in my mind. And of course, that's a process and you do it with small things and then small events and small daily actions. But it's really observing those fears and observing those negative thoughts, first of all, and catching them and then being able to turn them around. So I did some journaling. I wrote down, what am I fearful of? What's going on in my mind? Like I really, like I said earlier, I really trained myself to be more mindful and more present. So that was really key. And again, to tackle those fears, it's a transition, right? I think the biggest fear that people have that come to me that I've noticed is like, yeah, but what if I quit tomorrow and there's no money coming in? But you don't quit tomorrow. You don't quit cold turkey. You do it gradually. You transition. So every time you take a step, when you deal with what comes. So for me, I made my first $5 online when I thought, okay, this is $5, but I was still having my income of my job because I didn't quit overnight. So I did it gradually. And then I said, okay, this is working. This is not, but I'll talk about that in a moment. So that's the fears, right? You go gradually. The third thing is finding your sweet spot. I always talk about these 3 circles, your passion, your talents, and your mission. And it's that sweet spot in the middle, that intersection that you go for. So maybe you have a passion about music, but you're not so good in it. Or maybe you're good in music, but it's never going to make you money. So it's really, what are you passionate? What are you good at? And what's your mission? What's your purpose in life? And that intersection. Then be inspired by others. So when you compare yourself to other people, it often stops you and it keeps you stuck because you're like, oh, they're traveling the world. They're digital nomads. They're this and that. And I can't. So I feel stuck. And instead of comparing yourself and staying stuck, like, oh, they have it all. And it's easy. We scroll down social media and we see all these beautiful businesses, successes, all these success stories. And oh, wow, they have it all and I don't. No, they have it. So can I. So instead of comparing yourself to others and keeping yourself stuck, say, hey, they can do it. So can I. So that was another shift I made in my mind. Like, hey, I look at others doing it. So can I. Okay. I'll try and make it and work out and make it work. And so that is where it's so important to find someone that is doing what you want to do. And that's when I started working with coaches and mentors. And I still do. Every time I want to achieve something, I make sure I find someone who's doing what I want to do and I ask for their help. If I want to do a TEDx talk, I talk to other TEDx speakers. I wanted to write a book. I started talking to authors. I wanted to start a YouTube channel. I started talking to YouTubers. So you talk to those people and that will inspire you. And then you will know what steps to take. And then number 5 is test it. Like I wanted to make money online. I wanted to be a digital nomad. Like I said earlier, I started traveling 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 2 months to test. Am I really enjoying this? Can I really do this full time? I started making money online. Hey, maybe I can do tutoring. Maybe I can help and tutor languages, teach languages. Can I make money online? Can I sell products online? So I tested and I'm like, hey, if I can make $5, I can make 100 and I can grow. So it's all about testing the grounds while I was still in my corporate job. So it goes gradually. And then what I did in step 6 is I quiet quit. I made a video about that in my YouTube as well, quiet quitting. So I knew I was going to quit. I didn't tell my boss. I didn't tell anybody. I knew I was going to quit. And that gave me so much more energy because as miserable as I was in my 9 to 5, as soon as I knew, hey, I'm working here on the side and I'm growing my side hustles and I'm making money online and I am going to quit. And I gave myself a deadline of a year. And it just like I did the bare minimum in my job just so I wouldn't get fired, which is easy because you've been probably doing your job for a while. Those of you who are watching and listening, so to do so you don't get fired and you get your money coming in. But at the same time, you have all the energy because on the side, you're working on your side hustle. And then the last step I would say is really your mind. Like for me, there's 2 things. There's action, testing, trying to make money online, like doing the things that you want to do. There's the action steps, but there's the mindset. As long as I kept saying to myself, oh, I don't like this job and I'm in my job and blah, 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 it just kept me stuck. But the moment I started observing my thoughts and thinking about these best case scenarios and seeing myself, I'm visualizing myself, I'm traveling the world, I'm a digital nomad, I'm working a few hours a day and I'm making money and I see my bank account growing. The mind of I can instead of I can't, and switching all of those negative thoughts into positive. And don't get me wrong, it's not about, oh, life is all rosy and positive, because it's not. But it's how do you deal with it? A challenge comes, okay, hi, hello, shake hands with your fear, bring it on and let me tackle it and move forward. So yeah, the mindset is a lot.
Definitely. And that's the power of basically creating our own environment, and it starts with the head. If we cannot control our thoughts and actually do something about it in order to make ourselves think the right way, because there is the right or the wrong way. The wrong thoughts, the wrong mindset can lead us on a path. The right one can lead us to the right path. And that's something that I struggle with as well, with those fears of what society will tell me. What if I don't succeed? Why and why? And like you, I had for 1 year a side hustle before being able to actually quit my full-time job and be certain that I don't end up in the streets or something. And that's definitely the smartest way to do it. And can you share any resources for those listening that can help them further in order to make this step in their life?
Well, first of all, I make videos on my YouTube channel. So if you can spell my name, Rachel Smets, Smets, every week there are videos there with tips on make money online, tips on the mindset, tips on how to escape, how to transition, all of that. On top of that, I read a lot of books about business, but more so about the mind. I study the mind a lot. I'm in a book study club I love the science of the mind. It's not the woo-woo thing because I learned to trust my intuition more. I learned to study how your mind affects your feelings, how your feelings affect your thoughts, how you actually manifest things with the power of our minds. And our mind is something that we have as a free resource. Everybody, every human being has a thought, has a mind, and we underutilize that. If we can really, like, everything that happens to you, it happens for a reason, because you manifest it. You think whatever you can think in your mind, you can hold in your hand. If you literally imagine yourself like being that success, being that digital nomad, earning money online, and really believe it and have faith in it that you're going to achieve it, you can manifest anything that you want. So yeah, reading books about that and about the power of the mind is definitely a recommendation I have. And there are so many books that I can recommend, but Neville Goddard is one of my favorites. I joined Bob Proctor's program. Joe Dispenza is a really great author as well, that really studies the science behind the mind, like how your mind and affect your cells, your whole body, your feel, like everything. When it's not just thinking positive, it's literally feeling yourself into your future being. So yeah, I can talk about another hour about that, but I for me, it's a game changer to really study how your thoughts affect what you create in your life.
And when it comes to actually training our mind, as you mentioned, it's a free thing. We can do it every single day. It's just about us if we actually put in the effort to do so.
Yeah.
And apart from your YouTube channel, how else can those listening connect with you and work with you?
Sure. Find me. Yeah, if my name, Rachel Smets, then my website is rachelsmets.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Rachel Smets, Facebook, Rachel Smets. So yeah, feel free to message me anywhere, and yeah, I'd be happy to have a chat with you for sure.
I'll put the links in the show notes as well. And to wrap things up, if you were to challenge our listeners to take one action within the next 24 hours to begin their journey towards clarity and freedom, what would the challenge be?
Can I give you two? I'm basing my tips here on my intuition. I'm thinking about two things that I want to mention. One is to start making a list, as much as I hate writing things down, but making a list of the things that you do and you don't like. And usually you better start with what you don't like, because we're always so good in what we don't like. So make a list of all the things in your current situation, your current career, your current job that you don't like. And then on the other side of the paper, write all the things that you do, and start by visualizing and thinking about ways to do more of that. So I think having that awareness was the big start for me. When you talk about starting, that was a big start for me. That awareness of, this is what I don't like, this is what I do, this is what I want more of. Okay. So writing that down. And the second thing is, because I always say, okay, actions and mindset, right? And so I'm thinking about what also, when I started, the fear was really keeping me stuck. And so the way to get out of your fear is to really do things that are out of your comfort zone. Life starts out of your comfort zone. So I would challenge the viewers and the listeners to just do something out of your comfort every day. And it could be just smile to a stranger, or start a conversation to a stranger, or start a conversation with the cashier at the supermarket, or pick up the phone and call somebody that you haven't spoke to for a long time, or cook something completely different, or buy a food that you don't know. Like, small things, but just to step out of that comfort, because we're such familiar, comfortable human beings. So it's those small little things that will make a difference.
Definitely. And those small things that we do differently every single day is basically breaking out from that pattern that we went all our lives. And if we go after that in unfamiliar environment, for example, like you did or I do, like in other countries, in other totally different things, you will have to try new food. You will have to talk with strangers. You have to do those things uncomfortable that maybe you're an introvert. Maybe you are a person that doesn't really feel comfortable in a different scenario. And if you're stuck in that 9 to 5 and talking the same day with the same boss, with the same colleagues, you're way too used to that. And going out of that comfort zone can be overwhelming. But as Rachel said, if you do that one step at a time, one small thing, it can change a lot, and confidence boost is coming after that.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you so much for this challenge. I can't wait to see what people think about it. And please leave a comment or reach out to Rachel on social media and tell us how you made it. What was your challenge? That small step that you take in order to get out of your comfort zone. We'd love to hear that. And thank you so much, Rachel, for coming in the show.
Loved it. Thank you, Gabe.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure to check the show notes where you'll find direct links to the tools and resources mentioned in this episode, and much more. If you enjoyed this podcast, make sure to subscribe to your favorite podcast station to not miss when we drop the next one. We have lots of exciting guests and surprises for you coming up. This is your host, Gabe Marushka, with the Nomad Solopreneur Show. Until next week, pura vida!